love and with you. Annoy the ones that hate and you.
Misty, go away, don't disturb me. I have done no wrong. Just go away and let me be. My mother and father, they hold me in the story. Miss B, go away, don't disturb me.
Is anyone here? What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions. Very good Friday evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Supernatural Confessions Friday Night Live. You may see that the one of our hosts is missing and to be replaced, none other by the man, the smooth operator who's making sure everything's running smoothly tonight. Instead of hiding behind the scenes, there's a nice space vacated for Elvin to show his face today.
He's not the voice in the sky today.
Yeah, I'm the budget Kim right now.
Budget Kim.
I can also tell a budget joke.
Oh,
Please do. I want to hear the joke.
Yeah. So everyone that's if you just join us, is your first time here or just new to what we do, Supernatural Confessions is a platform where we destigmatize supernatural experiences and we listen to your story because hell, most of us who's in Supernatural Confessions have an encounter one form or another. And we believe in you, we trust in you. But as with every good story goes, we should find ways to talk about the what ifs and look at it from different angles, from the scientific to the psychological side to the, just plain common sense. And of course, I will always talk about it must be the Hantu. So there's going to be a lot of confession tonight. If you have watched the feature last week, that seemed to be a hit with many of you. Andy's confession about his father being a cult leader and a demon worshipper. We're going to talk about that today. 3 confessions as well, narrated by our lovely voiceover artist. And this show is made possible by the 4 hosts that you see in front of you on the screen. No sponsors so far. If you know anyone who's sponsored the show, we'd be glad to talk to them. But for now, it's just us doing what we love to do every Friday night. I'm going to pass the mic over to Elvin to say hello to you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm this week's replacement for Kim. Might tell a joke later if you guys want.
budget
to you,
joke,
Eugene.
budget joke.
What about the lady over there from Sembawang? Her name is Sonia. Sonia, say hello.
Hello.
Okay, very good.
I knew that was coming.
It
was coming. Oh.
No, really, that's it. Okay lah, hello lah.
What else? You said say hello. I said hello.
Okay. And the bad boy from down under, Joseph Dakota.
Hello, everyone. And special shout out to Gillian Anderson, who's tuning in from Perth. Perth represent.
Gillian Anderson, you're thinking of X-Files, is it?
X-Files, is it?
Is it Gillian Anderson?
That's
Fernandez.
Is it Gillian Fernandez?
Gillian
You see,
Fernandez
this
got
is
Gillian
what happens.
Anderson. Adoy.
Adoy.
So
No,
Gillian
budget
Anderson's
jokes
not turning in.
From JDC today.
Oh.
That's it, we're losing one fan already.
Make fun. Everyone make fun. Go.
Also want to say hello to Alvin, who's tuning in. Sorry, not Alvin. Alan. See, I also called wrong name.
Ayo, both
Aiyo.
of you 2 strikes already.
Alan.
Aiyo.
Alan's a
What do you
very good friend, a fan of the show, and also became a good friend. JDC and I, Joseph Ricotta and I, when we first started talking, he was also a listener of the show and a podcast, and we
Yeah.
were talking about this book. Remember that?
Oh,
I
yes.
have this book.
You said you cannot find
Where?
it.
Oh, stop it, Eugene. Do not flash that in front of our
Teruk,
faces.
no, you, my goodness.
You are.
Alan knew I wanted it. He says, "Bro, I cleaned my house. I found this book. I want to pass it to you."
Oh, Alan.
And why I mentioned
why,
Alan today, because he cannot make it for Friday show usually because he's working and work late. But he told me, "Bro, tonight I can tune in to you." Very happy. I said, "What happened? I got COVID, bro."
I want to put it out there, okay? So if any fans out there want to sponsor me a copy of Supernatural, Usborne's Supernatural World, you are very welcome to do so. I love that book, and my daughter will be eternally grateful to you.
He's
I'm
using the
going
doctor
to use my daughter as much as
Yeah,
I can use
exactly.
anything I can.
Eugene, this is
Emotional
a this is a this is a
blackmail.
hint from Joe to you, by the way.
Yeah.
card.
Yeah,
Hint,
June,
hint, hint, wink.
Emotional blackmail will work.
Having said that, though, there is a petition that's out there, and that petition is to bring back Usborne's Supernatural World. It's hit the target. They have given the petition to the publishers, and the publishers haven't confirmed anything yet, but they say stay tuned. That stuff is going to be released soonish.
Hey, there's money to be made. Why not, right?
Of course, man. It's a classic, isn't it? I remember buying that at the school's scholastic book fair. You know those book fairs you had in school? Man, I used to wait for those things. And it was dragons, it was supernatural, it was magic. Absolutely magic.
And also, some of you were asking about this song that we played at the start of the show. What is it? Is it? Some of you say you want to put it for your ringtone, and you guys are loving it. It's called Miss P. And it's written and performed by the Silver Stars. If you want to speak to the Silver Stars, Alyssa and Juno, they are right now on our Facebook stream. So you can go over there, say hello to them. For people who are watching us on stream on YouTube, hello to you guys as well. And if you're listening to this on after Friday, probably hearing it on podcast or on replay, thank you for joining us and listening to this show. You make it possible. As always, if you have anything to share, anyone with a story to share, please get in touch with us. My number can be found on the website. Find us on supernaturalconfessions.com. We are on Spotify, Google, Apple, YouTube, Facebook. Unfortunately, none of us old farts here know how to really use Instagram very well. So if you want to volunteer and be part of our
Old
team,
farts, speak for yourself, please.
Yeah, excuse
Eugene,
me.
that's
I've got an
you, man.
Instagram account.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
if any of you know how to manage Instagram like properly, not like just posting up photos or like reels and short,
I'm only looking at the IG models there, that's all.
yeah, get in touch with us. We would love to have you on the team as well.
And just very quickly,
yeah.
Kim's on
He's online
YouTube,
now. Yeah.
and he's saying, "Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't join everyone tonight due to poor connection. I'm out somewhere for work."
You want to tell them what work our friend is doing
right.
now?
I thought he's
Besides pimping.
I thought he's having dinner right now. I saw you on IG. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Kuching, something about Kuching, right?
Yeah, let me double check. This guy.
Oh, what kind of nonsense?
So our dear friend Kim is a host. You guys probably know that, MC as well, and now he has acting on his resume, and he's acting in a horror movie. And he's playing the role of a Tanki. Right? Is that the one? No, not
We should
Tanki,
have let-
priest.
No, it's
We
not
should,
talking. It's a
we should have
Catholic
let
priest.
everybody guess what it
Oh my
was.
God.
Just like how he made us guess. You remember how?
Okay,
he
never
made
mind.
No one could
Eugene,
guess it.
Eugene's actually wrong, so you guys can make a guess of what role he's
Yeah.
playing.
I may have said it in front of everyone just
Oh,
then.
okay.
So hopefully
No.
no one.
Maybe no one heard it. Okay, he's not a Tanki, something else. I don't know what. You
It's
guys can
something
guess.
else, something else.
You,
So
you
guys
guys
can
have to
guess.
guess.
Yeah.
So he got a
And
role.
when he went up to the was it the sound director or the
Yeah.
audio
Sound-
director?
I think so.
Sound director, yeah.
Sound director. The sound director recognized him. He's like, "Oh, you're that guy from Supernatural Confessions." So yeah, I think that's very nice to know that people from Kuching is also listening to us. Let me know where you guys are from. If you're from, I know Gillian Anderson / Fernandez is from Australia, Perth. If you're not from Singapore, you're from Malaysia or anywhere else, say hello. Or if you're Singapore and you're really fucking far away, like in Sembawang, just say hello as well. That to me is a long distance relationship.
I think that's like JB or something. Around there.
JB, yeah. I think JB even nearer.
Actually, it's just across the coast. I'm not very far from JB. So,
Yeah. I want to
Joe,
read out
what's her name
something-
again? What's her name again? The girl from Perth.
It was Gillian Anderson / Fernandez. Hey, I'm just wondering, is Sembawang somewhere near Indonesia?
Around there, lah, thereabouts.
Is that like, it's like near Batam, right?
I think it's just
Passes-
near Medan only.
Ayo, geography
Yeah,
fail
it's-
lah. Wait,
I want to read
print
out
the map for you.
Did you just say geology fail? Yes, I failed geology. It's the same thing as geography,
Geology.
right?
You see? No, geology is rock composition and stuff, mineral
I don't
makeup.
know,
Good
man.
grief.
Isn't that astrology or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Sagittarius rock.
Okay, guys, I want to read out a message from Andy. He sent in a message and he says, "Hi, Eugene. I was wondering if it is okay and if you deem it appropriate to share this to the audience later at night if during the show you intend to talk about the first part, which we will talk about very briefly. Thank you for listening to my confession. It took me about 2 years to finally muster the courage to reach out to the SC community to share. Just wanted to share that I'm doing well by God's grace and much more in control of whatever is happening around me. Reading some of the comments from YouTube, Facebook, there are 3 things I humbly like the listeners to know. Firstly, no matter how small the request is, like love potion, etc., do not use black magic. It will come back to your next generations or even to you, especially at the later part of your life. I've seen it many times to people around, so do not be tempted, please. Secondly, if you are unfortunately disturbed by black magic, do not give up on God and yourself. Have courage and use God's guidance, as that will help you stand against evil in whatever form. Thirdly, not just for supernatural aspects, but I guess for all aspects of life, remember that you are not defined by birth or anyone. In supernatural terms, you may not be able to change what abilities you were born with, while from a psychological perspective, you may not be able to change certain skill sets, traits, talents you have. But you always have a choice on what you do with your gifts or traits and who you choose to be. Never give up the control of your life to others or any entity. That's from Andy. Andy, obviously not his real name. Just want to let you guys to know that. So if you have watched the
Andy.
show last week, right, part 1, what do you guys think? Opening up to Alvin, Sonia, and Joe, and everyone else.
First, Andy, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's when I first read it, because I read it before I heard it, such a powerful story, and I'm so glad that you got out of that and you're in a better position now and you're sharing this story with us. It must not have been difficult for you. It took 2 years to feel safe enough to share that, and I hope that everyone's comments, have been reassuring. But again, you're right. Don't dabble in this stuff. You have no idea how it comes back to bite you, and it's not worth it. It really isn't.
The first thing, and I'm going to say this with a bit of a trigger warning for people. How incredibly brave were you, Andy, to disclose an instance of sexual abuse?
Yes.
That was perpetrated against you when you were a kid. I think that by doing so, you have put yourself out there and probably given a lot of strength to those people who have been victims of sexual abuse to maybe step up and do something about it. And so, you know what? No kid should ever have to go through what you went through. And well done, man, for kind of standing up and putting yourself on the line. But, the story, from a supernatural standpoint, is a very interesting one for me because it had to do with, it's another topic that I like, black magic. And curses and stuff like that. And for me, it's a warning that there are a lot of people out there who peddle things, who engage in these practices, and for the supernatural community to actually be very wary of these individuals, and even be wary of individuals who purport to teach tantra or some kind of yoga that they've learned. And yoga and tantra has now become these kind of buzzwords. So yeah, I, there's just so much in that story. I can't wait to hear what tonight's story is going to be like.
Yeah. Part 2 is going to be premiering at 11:30 p.m. tonight, so stay tuned for that one, guys.
Okay.
Alvin?
So, you want me to continue on or go on to my segment?
No, I mean, if you have anything to talk about the
Oh yeah, I
Andy's
mean,
story.
definitely I concur with Joe. I mean, in the sense that for him speaking out is quite brave. We're also glad to hear his story, and this also encourages other people to stand up for themselves and also tell more stories about this kind of incidents. And
yeah.
I think like what Joe mentioned, like you have to be careful of this. I mean, if you are involved with something and it doesn't seem right and it's out of the norm, I think it's okay to just get out of it.
Trust your instincts. I think
Trust
your instincts will
instincts.
be your best guide. If it doesn't feel right, chances are there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, and you realize his attitude towards what happened to him, that has to be commended because he has a great attitude towards it. He did not end up with a victim mentality. He rose above whatever he was going through, and that is commendable.
Yeah. Well, more on Andy's confession tonight in the second and final part. Stay tuned for that one. Alvin, why don't you lead today's opening with what you have found for us on the internet?
Okay, so for my segment, here's a short video that happened along the road. So let me bring this up.
Oh yes.
This video starts with a guy driving on the road. Everything was kind of normal, dark road.
Looks like a Malaysian road.
That looks like Sembawang.
Sembawang,
Probably is.
You know the road that leads to Kampung Wak Hassan? It looks like that.
I think your Sembawang road looks even more ulu than this.
So
Well, we
everything-
have lights here. Still Singapore.
that's a normal dark.
Yeah. Nothing what?
No, you just gotta wait. There's something there to the left hand side.
Left, okay. Look at that.
Look on the left side.
Okay, damn long lah.
The guy cannot go past speed limit, lah, bro. Tomorrow also got speed limit.
What I see? I see bushes, I see trees.
We are not advocating for any SC members to speed. Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
Aha!
Yep.
Oh, what's that?
Any way of zooming in?
Hang on. Using the power of technology.
That's what she said. Just
There we go. Enhance.
Ooh.
Zoom enhance.
Wow.
enhance.
You know, in Hollywood, they can they can still clear it, make it clearer.
They can make the
and-
face even clearer, right?
Clean up
Yeah.
the image a bit, please, Alvin.
Sorry,
your
bro.
magic.
My computer too cheap.
Okay, so this is a clip about someone driving on a road, possibly in Malaysia, and spotted this thing or person on the side of the road. There's been a lot of chatter online as to what this would be. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Are you guys watching it? Human, not human, hantu? Let's go to Joe first. Joe, what do you think?
Look, when you actually zoom in, I can actually see a face, and I can see someone's kind of hunched over. Aside from the fact that it's a really creepy video, there's nothing overtly paranormal about it. Someone mentioned that there's even a shadow to this this
there's
kind
a
of
shadow
entity.
Just
behind.
behind it, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's not a giveaway because people have reported seeing entities that cast a shadow that do everything that a normal human being does, and then turn out to be something else other than that. But just looking at that, it's nothing paranormal to me. The guy's looking down. It's very odd. His face is red, but my face gets red after two beers. So I'm not convinced that this is a paranormal thing.
I can kind of see two legs and even maybe a foot, you know. Oh. But of course, if you are going down a dark road and that suddenly pops up, it is a bit of a jump scare. In that sense.
yeah.
I can understand why
Yeah.
you'd be surprised. The guy's
Is
reaction.
after that, yeah.
Okay. Alvin, what's your take since you picked the video?
I think this one is definitely. I agree with Joe. This one definitely looks like a guy or probably like a person who happens to be a beggar walking on a road at night. Then, like what others in the chat group mentioned, I mean, if you notice on the image again, there's a shadow that's behind that.
Mm.
So, I mean, if you go by Hantu law, I mean, something that casts a shadow there,
It's a
probably a
solid
person.
substance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably a person. Yeah.
I think many people have also pointed out that in kampong areas, it is not uncommon for villagers to walk in the dark along the roads because they know the place very
Yeah.
well. And because you depend on the light to drive, but for them walking in the dark under moonlight, they are really accustomed to the dark. And for this guy, I think from the way he's dressed, his clothes, he seems very torn and tattered. His face is very red, so yeah, maybe drunk. But I can imagine why driving along the road and seeing this thing at night would scare the bejesus out of you. It just looks
Yeah.
deformed. But I think it's more like a guy who's hunching, or he's just,
Yeah.
trying to make his way home being drunk.
Just
It
broke up
has
with
it.
his girlfriend.
Just a
walking
Friday
down,
night,
so
bro.
sad. Alamak.
That's a Friday night, bro.
Just right.
Sekali hantu.
I like one comment from Shannon on YouTube. She says, "Welcome to Raccoon City." Can you imagine? This is patient zero outbreak.
Don't even joke about that in this time and age, bro. Do not even joke about that.
But actually, when I was in Mumbai itself, I mean, it was quite common to see people just walking by the side of the road way late
Yes.
at night, even on small
They,
roads.
if they've got no transport, no transport means of their own, then they just walk everywhere, right?
Okay, so thank you very much for that, Alvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, if you didn't pause and stop and extract the photo, driving down that lonely road at night, seeing that kind of deformed person would be scary. No shit on that one. Okay, moving on to the housekeeping with Joseph Dakota.
Yes. Thank you very
over
much.
to
After
you.
Predator,
Today only one video,
only one
Only
because
one.
last time we have 3 videos, it went half an hour on this one.
Sometimes even 1 hour.
Yeah, cannot.
But I really enjoy Elvin's segment. I like to be surprised by.
Yes.
I'm wondering if maybe next time we can do maybe 2 videos.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
Videos.
one is never enough,
Then we'll figure it out next
Okay.
week.
So what are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, are we still speaking about videos?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking. Just
Yeah.
We talk
Just
about ice
curious.
cream or something.
Yeah, maybe. Lollies. Okay. Anyway, I sent this link over to Elvin before.
Yeah.
It was a story put out by Kivan Tan, and it has this very similar theme to, I wouldn't say similar, but it's along the same lines about curses and stuff like that, right? And so basically, what she said was when she was young, she lived in an era where I think male children were more prized than female children, right? And so the story was that they wanted a grandson, but the third aunt decided to seek some kind of like divine intervention, and in a dream she approached a deity and she asked this deity to change the gender of the baby from a girl to a boy. But unfortunately things kind of went wrong. It was something about the aunt didn't have enough to give or enough to sacrifice for this child in terms of money, right? And so even though the story didn't have a lot of like supernatural elements in terms of, it was not a very long story, the comments are really interesting, and people started talking about curses that affect firstborn children. People were talking about how long do curses actually kind of last. And I wanted to open it up to everyone. What do they think about curses, especially ones that travel along generations?
Generational curses.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? Leave us a comment. Generational curses. Speaking of this, while we are waiting for the comments to come in, I want to speak a bit about this gender swapping superstitions. Not many people realize that back in the 70s, 80s, and even up to the 90s, gender swapping, before this whole woke shit is going on in today's world, gender swapping was a big deal, at least I know in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia, for a fact. People who I know in my family line, like distant relatives and all, they would pierce their ear and dress their boys up as daughters.
It's actually very common. It's an Indian.
What's the story behind that? Why would they?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Eugene was saying. No, I just
Mhm.
wanted to say that it's
Okay.
very common among the Indians as well.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
continue.
And for some Indian cultures, right, the piercing of the ear was not necessarily about acting like a girl, but in some Ayurvedic kind of like philosophy, it
Mm.
was about a nerve that is in the earlobe that
Mm.
actually helps karmically and physically and spiritually as well. So
Oh,
Even as a pressure point
yeah,
as you go further up below.
yeah.
okay. I didn't know about that one. Now, what you just said, Joe,
Mm.
I've not heard that one before. But for what I heard is, if you don't dress up or I mean, if you want to protect your son from certain generational curse, where they will claim the firstborn, similar to Bruce Lee, right? Every time he has a son, uh, something bad would happen, and it's to end the family line, some curse from down the generation. So if you dress your son up as a girl or pierce his ear or make him wear a dress in his growing age, the curse will not detect and it will go past your family.
Mm.
That was what I understood. Or some people with their karma, where they're supposed to be born a girl or be born a guy, and in that life they will face a lot of difficulty. So that's when they switch gender, even not to wear a dress or to be like act as a feminine. It's just to change name. So instead
Yep.
of giving them a manly name in Chinese, you give them a girl's name. So if you find a lot of middle-aged men, I believe that's when the practice kind of stopped about maybe 10, 20 years ago. So people of our generation were born in the 70s, 60s, maybe even in the 80s. Sometimes they have names like Xiao Hua, and it's a guy. And you ask them why, they said, my grandma chose it.
Mm.
The reason is if you give the boy the a female name, the curse will bypass him. So if you guys heard of that one, that particular superstitions, let me know. But yeah, Sonia, tell us about the Indian side of things.
So it's to confuse the spirits and stuff, something like that. Even I mean, I'm half Indian, but I was brought up more in the Indian customs. And when I turned one, I had my head shaved. Uh, I mean, there's so many Indian customs, but for the boys, mums used to dress them up as girls so that you confuse spirits. Uh, Something about the evil eye. I was trying to read up a little bit about it as well. I don't have a very clear understanding of it. Joe, do you?
A little bit, not probably as much as you, but my understanding that there are various levels of it. On a very gross level, is that whole
Mhm.
idea of confusing the spirits, but on a very subtle level, it's about karma, and it's about um um having like a pressure on a certain nerve that does something. I'm not too sure about that because I think there's a
Yeah.
whole ritual that goes with that as well,
Hmm.
Yes.
and the piercing.
I'd love if anybody else in the comment section could enlighten us.
Mm.
Very interesting. Uncam.
Anything?
Ernest Camembert,
Ernest.
right?
Ernest.
Yeah.
Yes.
He says, I have a female name for the same reason, for that exact reason that we talked about.
Wow.
One more
When I
guy.
went,
Sorry?
you go. Sorry, Nicky, go.
The clock says on YouTube, last time my Indian guy friend is called Princess. That could be the reason why I never dared ask him about it. I guess so. No man will go around calling himself, call me Princess. Yeah.
In secondary school in Singapore, the Pankias called me Chow Sai. Is that anything to do with
Yeah.
like confusing the spirits or anything like that? No,
No, I don't think so.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chow Sai. You know that's gonna stick, right? Chow Sai, get it? Stick.
Yeah, very nice. Your joke
You
stinks, by the way, but that's all right.
you keep arming us.
No, I know. Look, I'm just gonna let it fly away. I'm not gonna keep going with it. So
Even Arista's gonna have a field day that one. Okay, so Kim Lim says some Chinese family they one last one for boy as they have 4 daughters. So what does that mean? You name one of the daughter guy name, get another guy next, or what? I don't know.
Hmm.
Okay,
I've heard about that one.
okay, one more from Ramat Styles. Whew, nice
what a name.
Ramat Styles. Speaking of genders and generational curses, my mom used to tell me that my late great grandfather married a singer. Then his family cursed him for 7 generations.
Wow.
Wow, this one.
Whew.
Oh, Anand Prabhu.
Yes.
Hmm.
Anand said something in the Facebook live chat.
Go for it.
Said,
Read it out.
My understanding from the Indian culture, it is seen that children will need to shave their head as a form of getting rid of the baby hair, as it may hold some negative karma from previous birth. I always thought that they shaved your head so that you get thicker, fuller head of hair, and then they rub yogurt um, into your scalp.
That's the
That's what they
rational
did.
story
happened
they
to
want to tell
me.
you, lah. But you know, the
That-
rest
I,
of
that's
it,
what.
I was brought up by an Indian family when I was very young, right? When my mom and
Hmm.
dad had to go to work, so for a few years, right? And they used to rub coconut oil into my hair, and I had beautiful, luscious black hair. But now,
What happened?
Where
I
they
don't
go,
know.
man? Where they go?
I didn't keep up with the
Practice.
the practice.
you try
So
put yogurt again, maybe.
Yeah, it's yogurt. It's not coconut.
mops will grow, not hair.
You just put yogurt and a bit of whiskey. That would do.
Yeah. So what will grow there will be a fungal infection. That's different. That requires antibiotics and a steroid. So no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think the
I've
story
tried it
about
before.
gender swapping and generational curses is quite an evergreen classic. This one is has been going on for some time, and a lot of people, and clearly from the comment section today, a lot of people still believe in that. Like Mark Shipo just said, my granny told me that when the baby boy is sick, they will pierce the ear to side sweep the sickness demon.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm still very surprised that a lot of our supernatural confessions people still remember these superstitions. But the thing is, I wonder how many of you, as parents who believe in this still, or at least know of this, will actually go through with it.
In the Muslim, one of the Muslim practices is the cukur rambut, right? Where they cut a little bit of the baby's hair off, or they shave the baby's head. They weigh all the hair and then donate its value weight
Mhm.
in gold, pegged to the price of gold, something like that, and then they donate it to charity. Is that a religious practice? It probably is a religious practice.
Could
I
be a
don't know.
cultural one as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Have to read up on that.
Indian culture where young toddler boys and girls had black mold put on their mothers.
Onto their cheeks.
Wait. The England is a bit off. Indian culture where young toddler boys and girls
Had
black
black moles. They draw black moles on them.
put on their by their mother onto their
Yes.
cheeks.
Yes.
Anything to do with superstition? I don't know.
They draw. So they draw moles, and not just on their cheeks, I think on other places as well.
Very big,
I've
big
seen-
like Pochong.
I've seen it.
Nothing
I
that-
never quite asked it. What is that about? No idea.
No, I don't know.
Only Indian representation.
Hey,
in our-
I'm not full Indian and then not completely
Hey,
immersed.
don't make
It's
excuses.
so-
So don't make
Alright.
excuses, man. You're representing.
No, we got the Gragos, we got the Pranakan. You're the
Yeah.
Chinese, and I mean the
You
Kim
got-
is the full Chinese, but unfortunately he's not here. So you're half Chinese, half Indian. You have to take lah for the team.
Yeah, lah. Take both sides.
You don't know, then who knows?
Yeah.
I
If you ask me
swear.
about devil curry and suji cake, Alvin and I can answer very
Yeah,
well.
we can tell you how to eat it.
know.
Walk
Exactly.
walk, kueh tea, I can
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to food, everybody knows what
Yeah.
to say. Okay, I think
Disappointing.
this is something that we
sis.
can table next week. Let's read up a little bit about that and talk about it next week as well.
Yeah.
It'll be
yeah.
interesting because there's so much to it. So there's the
Yeah.
moles as well as the piercings, right? The ear piercings and
And the
dressing
hair, the
them up.
cukur rambut.
Yeah. So these
Someone
are
talked about the
practices.
another segment, right? Know your pantang.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. No, your pantang.
Yeah, know your
I
pantang.
heard that is know your panta. lah.
That one is my supernatural confessions OnlyFans page. So don't worry.
Okay, one more
That
thing.
one-
I just want to read something from Iman before we move on to the confession. This one is very true. This one is Iman says there's even given nickname. You change the child's name because he keeps falling sick as a young baby. My brother, when he was young, he always fall ill and like don't know why, right? At time sick, fever. So my grandmother would say it's because his name tak gam doesn't fit him. So he has to change he had to count the number of strokes and all that and then change it. And then
So
he's
what-
okay.
After that, he was okay. After he changed his
I
name.
see. I don't know. It's because he has outgrown being ill as a child, and then coincidentally he's okay, or
Mm.
because we changed the name and he just didn't get sick as
Maybe-
often as he did.
Maybe it's a Pranakan thing because I remember my mom also saying stuff like some people's names are too powerful for them.
That's it. I've heard the
Yeah?
exact same thing where the name
Yeah.
is just too heavy and too
Yeah.
strong for their constitutions.
Uh,
I've heard that, and I've had
Yeah.
a classmate of mine in primary six. She came to school. Her father had to come take her out of school because she was going to get her name changed, and we asked why. And she told us that her name was just far too strong for her. She was getting sick all the time, and her father consulted somebody and had her name changed, and after that, she was fine.
Hey,
So the
Eugene.
name
Mm.
Yeah.
sometimes it's just too strong, too heavy
Mm.
um,
Yeah, Eugene
for
sounds
the
seems to be doing
person.
well.
That's why I'm called Eugene now, because my original name is just too badass to be spoken about in public.
But your son's name quite powerful also.
Oh yeah,
I
my
think doing
son's
well.
name, right?
Yeah.
Leonidas Grayson,
Yeah,
Jangan
not sick,
lemak.
right?
son of Eugene Tay. No, not sick.
S-O,
Oh,
S-O.
by the way, Sonia, I read up on your just now you're talking about the baby hair thing, right? So basically, yeah, it's
Yes.
a Malay Muslim tradition called cukur
Mm.
rambut,
Yes.
right? So basically, what happens is that they'll bring the baby around the guests in a
Mhm.
ceremony
Mm.
who will just cut off a lock of the hair.
And yes.
Yeah, then that hair will be placed into a coconut, and then at the end of the ceremony, the baby's head will be shaven clean,
Yes.
and the hair and the coconut will be weighed, and then whatever that's then they'll donate the equivalent weight in gold
Yes.
to charity.
Oh,
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
There.
oh, there's
At
this one
least it's
from
for a good cause.
this one from Hirishi Haran. We talk about names being too strong. He has the opposite problem. His name was too light. Before he was called Haran, and then because of that, he had to change his name to Hirishi Haran to keep himself from falling sick.
Mm.
Hui Chai says some people has even tattoo. Some animal tattoo is too strong. So I mean, that's why. I mean, if you guys need to know why we always make fun about JDC wearing a duck, because he's too apex predator, too badass. We need to
Bro.
put the duck on his head just to
Yes.
yeah.
And,
So it-
and the tattoo, right? Even though it looks scary, it's all about flowers and water, because too berat, bro.
yeah, too badass. We just go.
Too panas, tak
Yeah.
boleh.
So you
There
had
has
to
be a way.
moderate it a little bit, right?
Sonia, you said it, not me.
And now, moving on to our very first confession tonight. This one is Hospice Haunt by Starkie, narrated by Linda. Alvin, take it away.
We're so full of shit. I love it.
Moving over.
This next story was sent in by Starkie. It's titled Hospice Haunt. A few years ago, I worked at a nursing home as a certified nursing assistant and had a couple of encounters here and there, but nothing prepared me for everything that happened when I worked at a hospice. For those unfamiliar with exactly what a hospice is, it is essentially a place where people who have a terminal illness can spend their final days before they die. People that are sick certainly don't have a lot of time, and a hospice enables them to die in a more dignified manner than within the busy hospital. The facility I worked for was amazing. I can post a little more about my different experiences at the hospice if anybody's interested. The point is, a lot, and I mean a lot, of people passed away in this building, particularly during my shift, which normally ran from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I had this habit of opening the window of a resident's room after he or she passed away. It was simply my way of freeing the spirits so they wouldn't be trapped. No one else did this, unfortunately. But on to my story. The hospice was divided into 2 wings, and each wing had a huge linen closet. Tons of sheets, blankets, comforters, towels, washcloths and gowns were strewn in each space. Upon entering, you would have first noticed walls lined with racks filled with linen. I can still picture it. When you walk down into the room a couple of 100 feet and turn to the right, there's a little area where extra stuff is stored, such as items for bed baths and either hygiene implements for the residents. You're completely hidden from view when you are in this particular area on the right. One day, a resident woke up around midnight and requested to get cleaned up, so I thought it'd be best to give them a bed bath. I went into the linen closet and headed to the area on the right and grabbed soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, a little basin and other things. At this point, I heard the linen closet door open and close. We normally have one nursing assistant and a registered nurse on each wing during the night shift. I figured it was the nurse or the nursing assistant for the other wing, as we sometimes approached each other if we needed help. I then heard the high-pitched dulcet tones of a female voice, but I could not make out what she said. Hello? I'm just grabbing stuff for a bath. Do you need help? I answered, figuring it was the nurse. I then heard the voice answer clearly.
I'm so cold.
I can bring you a blanket. Maybe I'll throw it into the dryer again like last week, I remarked. I turned around and headed back to walk down the main area of the lizard closet. I was expecting to see someone else, but no one was there. I didn't hear the door open, so no one left and there just wasn't any place to hide. I then felt someone grab my shoulder. Taken by surprise, I screamed and dropped everything as I spun around, but nobody was there. I ran out of the closet as fast as lightning. I tried to tell the nurse on duty, but I was not making any sense at all until I took a deep breath and finally calmed down. She stuck by my side for the rest of the night, and I didn't go back into the linen closet for the rest of my shift. When the invisible hands grabbed me on my bare skin, it was icily cold. I shivered at the thought that it was the clammy touch of someone no longer living.
Ooh, yay. People have said, Alan Huang said, narrator solid lah. This one is Linda Confield, one of our old Lao Chiao member, and she has been one of our longest narrator, I think.
Quite a while, yeah, quite a long.
Actually, she lives in UK, and then when she speaks, she narrates in the Singlish, and did it on point. It's hilarious. Love it.
I like how she can switch back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, to the
Okay.
story, Alvin. Since you are our special guest today, what did you help us break it down?
Wow. I think this kind of hospital cases can. It seems quite common nowadays, right? I mean, like especially in places of death, that people tend to have really strange encounters. I mean, sometimes it can be due to a overactive imagination, or maybe when you talk about moving doors, when you saw the door slamming, when you hear door slamming, right, could be due to air pressure and whatnot. But I think for things like voices that people hear, I think that can be quite hard to know whether is it something that can be explained rationally in that case. Yeah.
Well, since
my
you
take.
mentioned rationally, let's go to super rational
Hey.
Sonia.
Alvin, you are.
What?
So
I said-
you know that
Go ahead, good. Sorry.
Kana arrow. So in places like hospitals, in hospices, a hospice is a place where it's a transitional place. If you have a terminal illness, right, and you require palliative care, you go to facilities like that to receive comfort, quality care. You can't be looked after at home, and you're too well to remain in a hospital. Places like that have a lot of negative energy. There have been studies done where they measure your biofield, your energy levels, and they start to drop as you succumb to your illness, as you start losing your life force, so to speak. So in places like that, I would believe a high concentration of negative energy. Now I'm going to sound as if I'm from Camp Hantu if I keep going down this line
Don't do it.
Of-
Don't do it.
of
Join the dark side.
of talk, right? But when you go into places like that, negative energy can become very palpable. You go into a situation where you see a lot of sick people. Does that then mess with your mind? If you are visiting somebody that's very sick, you go into an environment like that, and you hear their stories. These are people that are going to be very sick, very old. Are they hearing voices in their head? Are they then having very near death experiences? Or could they just need a little bit more attention?
Who, the nurse?
No, the people in there, and they're telling stories. And of course, if you're working there, you're going to be affected by things that you hear and you see from your patients as well.
Well, speaking of getting affected by things they hear and see, let's ask the psychologists of our group. What do you think about people hearing things and getting power suggestion as what
Look how
was
smooth
suggested?
that transition
Yeah.
was.
That was a very it's so smooth. I'm even caught off guard, and I'm like, You know, when your school teacher gives you like a oral exam, right? And then she asks the question you didn't study for. This feels like it.
He's just
No,
buying
but
time.
and just buying this. I'm just saying stuff just so that I can think. No, look, it's kind of like what I said last week. The power of suggestion is a very strong. It's very strong, right? However, to actually hear things that and see things and experiencing tactile kind of experience, and all three happening at once or happening over in the same period of time. I think that can be quite rare. I know people have always talked about, oh, if you're very sleepy, sleep deprivation, you can see things. Yeah, you can, but I think you've got to be pretty sleep deprived in order to hallucinate about something, right? Like I don't know about that. And Sonia, I don't know. I feel horrible saying this, but I'm just moving a little bit closer to the Hantu side tonight,
Oh,
just for a little while, because I think hospices are places where people transition to the next life, right?
yes,
And
yes.
there's a real strong sense of maybe a thinning of the veil there. I mean, the people there work at that meeting point between life and death. So there's always that possibility that things like that happen on a frequent basis in hospices. I would love to kind of talk to someone who works in a hospice or a bunch of people and see if they actually experience these things.
So would you say
I,
that
I
there's a
would
lot of
love to
troubled
speak.
spirits there? The case.
I would as well.
Mm.
Like, like not everybody has the benefit of family and being surrounded by friends. Sometimes these people are just dumped there. And it is my own personal belief, not a scientific one, that
Yes.
when people can die with unresolved issues and linger because of that. Yeah, I totally
They're
believe in that.
tied somehow to this realm, not being able to fully cross over, right?
Yeah,
And in a
give
place
yeah.
like that you would see a lot more people passing on, right?
Mm.
That's where
And
they go to comfortably
I,
passing
I,
on.
I agree, but you have to also think about that, right? In our daily lives, we have so much difficulty sometimes letting the smallest of things go, right? Imagine if you die with unresolved, things that are unresolved, things that you want to say to people, or you die and you don't really you're fighting against life. That leaves an impression, and I know science won't be able to determine energetically if something's changed or not, because I think it's outside of science at this point in time.
But what you can measure is things like biofield and stuff like that. I would love to see if there's any more literature on that. So I'm going to go read up on that. But I would also love to speak to somebody who's in the hospice that helps people transition. That say, speak to the family or speak to the patients about that slow moving on. How much support is given to these
Mm.
people? I would like to find out a little bit more about that and
Speaking of wanting to
speak to
speak
someone.
to someone who's working in hospice, I have spoken to someone who worked at hospice, nicely segueing to my segment right now, where I'm
Whoa,
very
whoa,
smooth today,
whoa.
very smooth.
Smooth transitions all over the
Yeah,
place.
today Eugene has to be the smooth operator because he is going quite smooth.
For real, I was speaking to this lady who's volunteering at a hospice, end of life. There's a term for it. The end of
End
life.
of
There's a
life.
there's
End of
the
life.
actual term that they use. That means end of life. Um,
Is
I can't remember, but
end
doesn't
of
matter.
life counselor, is it?
She would go there, hold the hand of all these people, and help them through the last leg of their life. Most of these people are alone, um, abandoned there, or just single and lonely. So she volunteers, she goes down, she'll hold their hand. And she says one thing. After a period of time, she can figure out who is the next one that's going to die. Right? She's palliative care. I think that's the word.
Yeah,
End of life,
palliative
right?
care, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Palliative care.
She would be there, speak to them, talk to them. Sometimes they don't make sense. They're just totally just talking about, I see my family and everyone around them. People who talk about seeing their family, their ancestors come back to find them, usually won't The next day or the day after, time to go. Or the other one where all of a sudden they recover. They couldn't talk, they couldn't walk. And that one last day, they're like, oh, I'm feeling very healthy today. I'm at top of my health. I have such good appetite. I'm going to eat. He knows these are the folks that the next day will not wake up. And many times it has been proven true. And also sometimes she would be visited by the people that she takes care. When I mean visited in dreams. You sleep, or to her, she'll be watching television at night, sitting there, and she would smell the familiar scent of whoever that person is. Old people smell, right? You can identify that scent. And she would smell it very strong. She would turn to her left or turn to right because she'll feel a very strong pulling. And in that split second, that lasts in her mind's eye a lot longer, it'll be that person standing there by the door, smiling at her. And she knows next day, confirm this one is going to be gone. And true enough, when she goes back to the hospital next day, so and so has passed away the night before. Right?
And
so
and this
Well,
is
to
the
be
reason
fair-
why I
Okay, it's okay, Joe. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say this is the reason why a lot of cultures and religions have death rituals and pre-death rituals as well. Like you talk about the Tibetan Book of the Dead, where things are recited to the person who's dying, is to guide them through that process where they can actually leave behind this existence and transition to the next. But
In
our
peace, right?
in peace, yeah,
Yes.
and in this day
That's
and
very
age, we are
important.
so disconnected from our culture, so disconnected from our religious practices that none of us do this anymore, or very few of us do.
Even our heritage,
Yeah.
even that's degenerating. I was going to say earlier though that in places like hospices, it's not always that they're left there abandoned. I had an auntie who we couldn't look after because she required medical care, specialized medical care, and we just couldn't, and didn't have the means or facilities to look after her at home. So she was sent to a hospice. So I'm just trying to be fair to people that have no choice but to send their loved ones through that transition in a place like a hospice. So it is a bit of a mercy as well, not just to the patient but to the family. So,
we got a
not just for
question
them.
from Ashoka Anuska from YouTube.
Anushka.
Okay.
Does
Anushka?
anyone in the panel feel that a paranormal being can physically cause harm to a human body? Panel, you guys go for it.
Ooh.
Wait, what's the question?
Can
Can?
a paranormal being physically cause harm to a human body?
Oh, okay.
Some like say I'm a Catholic, and according to some Catholic sources, no, because they refer back to that kind of like passages in the Bible where spirits aren't allowed to harm the hair on a person, but things can be taken out of context as well. I think they can. I think that's possible. If you read various accounts of people's paranormal encounters with so-called demons or even with poltergeists, the body can be harmed.
But
Certainly.
doesn't that require vast amounts of energy? We've spoken about this before.
know.
In fact, just last week, you and Kim were both talking
Yeah.
about the very same subject,
Yes.
about how it takes so much energy for them to even manifest in the first place, let alone cause bodily harm.
They could just indirectly harm you too. I mean, like maybe induce some fear into you, causing you heart.
Whispers.
Yeah. Some
Right.
heart
I
attacks.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, even through whispers, coerce you into jumping off a building, for instance, because that's harm as well, self-harm.
Yeah. I guess it all depends on spirit. I mean, like they say, if there's more powerful ones, they could just fling chairs at you. or let
Alvin,
them sleep.
remember the
Which one is that?
tour that we conducted back
Mm.
in Supernatural Asia?
Yeah.
And one of the guests on that went with us,
Mm.
she said she felt someone scratching her and she took off her top
Oh yeah, I remember that.
left brow only, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And all of us, all like
We saw
14,
that,
15
yeah.
of us, right?
I
In
heard
front
this
of our
story.
eyes, claw marks came down.
Yeah, we saw
we've
that
seen-
yeah.
Right? Bruises
So-
appearance on body.
It wasn't appeared as if
No.
it was.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
think she went to one corner, took off her top, then did it on her own.
No, but
Yeah.
we
No,
saw,
hang on.
all of us saw the
We
lines
saw,
coming
yeah.
down as we
Yeah.
were looking at it.
No.
Yes, I mean, eyewitnesses and all. We
Yeah.
had that.
Could that have
Uh,
been the blood actually coming down?
Like
And then as
dripping
it
down.
yeah, and
No?
as it calms down, it just highlights scratches that are
No,
already
when I
there.
saw it was definitely red marks of like a
Mm.
scratch. Yeah.
Wow.
and
Okay.
yeah, so and I've heard another story where someone was pushed down the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Was it
maybe
in a
not a
tour or?
direct physical entity hitting you, but enough energy is pushed and the
Mm.
fellow fall down the stairs and he hurt himself. So yeah, I do believe that paranormal entities can hurt the living.
Mm.
Okay, very nice, very
Mm.
good questions. Thank you so much for asking the questions and sharing.
Mm.
There's a lot more sharing going on today. Thank you guys again so much for sharing. I hope that all the other members you are reading this is good stuff. Really on both
Mm.
YouTube and Facebook. We can't read every single line, otherwise we will be here for more than 2 hours. Great stuff, great stuff. Keep the comments coming in. We can always reply them tomorrow when we're finished with the show and we do this post. Next, confession. You have heard of Toyol. Most of you in Asia would know what a Toyol is. A Toyol is that little green imp or creature that is very mischievous. Black magic practitioners will use a Toyol to steal things. People say that it's like a kumantong, which is also like a child spirit. But do you know there are different colored Toyols for different effects?
Sounds like a MTG character.
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah.
The fire Toyo, will cause direct damage. The blue Toyo can counter your spell. The green one is all about nature. The white one, holy one. The
Is
black
this
one
person's name Geralt of Rivia?
the worst.
Is
No.
that like...
Yeah. Since you asked who it was, this one is Black Toyo by Sean, narrated by Brian.
Nice.
Alvin, take it away.
Right.
Black Toyo by Sean. The following story takes place sometime during the late 80s and early 90s. When M was still a secondary school student, he was on his way home on the bus along Old Changi Road. M likes to sit at the back of the bus so that he could relax and look out the window without people behind him talking too loudly. While listening on to music on his Walkman, he noticed something moving rapidly in the foliage parallel to the road. It was moving so fast that it could keep pace with the bus, which was travelling at about 40 km per hour. He squinted his eyes to get a clearer look. The thing appeared to be some kind of small bipedal humanoid with a large head and dull grey skin, kind of like the aliens depicted in sci-fi illustrations. It was running in a comical fashion. Imagine the Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote with their legs in circles alongside the bus and matching its speed. Suddenly, and perhaps realizing it was being watched, it turned its head to face M. Its face had human features, but in place of eyeballs, there were just empty sockets. At that moment, M experienced something he had never felt before: unbridled fear and dread. He quickly shut his eyes and prayed to the God of Abraham, and after a minute or so he felt someone or something really heavy sat down next to him. The strange thing was that the bus didn't stop and there were no other passengers but him at the time. He dared not open his eyes, but the presence beside him was warm, as he felt heat emanating from whatever that sat down beside him. In stark contrast to the earlier fear, now all he felt was peace and comfort. A while later, the seat returned to its original status, and the bus was once again empty. M opened his eyes and the creature with the empty eye sockets was gone. He later found out from a friend whose extended family used to keep these things, but got rid of it when they converted to Christianity, was that what he saw was a toyo, specifically a black one. The friend explained that there are 3 classes of toyo: the green, the blue, and the black, and this is in order of capability. The green ones are the weakest, usually deployed to steal things or bring prosperity, stolen goods to its summoner. The blue ones are used to curse targeted people with bad luck. And the most terrible ones are black. They have the ability to kill people. M's friend said that it is very likely that this one was not disposed of correctly, and as not even dying can get rid you of a toyo. Rogue ones still roam the forest.
Wow.
Mm.
Oh,
Color coded.
I didn't
That's-
even
that's
know
very
that. The
new.
first I've heard of it.
That's like
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
monster. That's very new. It's the first time I heard of it.
Mm. But I've heard of the one about if you see,
Hmm?
we talk about shadow people, right?
Yeah.
Usually shadow is black, right? But there's also the apparition version where you can see blue, you can see green, you can see faded gray. Each of this color also represents certain things in that one. I think I wrote an article about that last year. I gotta go and find it again and let you guys know.
Okay.
But you go to the YouTube portion on the comment section, there's a lot of interesting chatter going about. There's a
Yeah.
place in Singapore that is known for its Toyol.
Boon King, is it?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys want to read out, Alvin or
Let's
Joe? Want to read out?
see, let me
comment?
start it from.
I'm gonna go over
Okay,
to YouTube
Lost
and
it.
see.
Akila series says that Block 11 Upper Boon King used to be a Toyol hotspot. And let's see. So the story is that in the area itself, the families there were from a kampong along Kallang River, specifically the Orang Laut of that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So apparently, that if you can go there and talk to the old Malay families there, they have more information and more stories about the place.
Oh, dear, what? Okay, Boon King, I know there's a lot of black magic practitioners over in Boon King area, and they don't like each other. So maybe it could be it's one of
Kena
those.
hantar.
Those kind of like
Yeah,
random,
I think so.
like mixed battle, a battle or something.
Yeah.
I've
Never heard of the color coding before. Is
Yeah.
it so that
Same.
it's easier? It's easier. You just choose a color. Is it?
No lah. I don't think you choose a color. I think it's like most like spectrum. The more energy you put into it, it will change the spectrum of the color. I'm thinking on that.
Oh, that's called
Oh.
like aura kind of thing, is it?
Like green is very, like people say green with envy. So green is so like has the energy of greed, whereas red seems more kind of like
Anger,
harmful. And then black, that when people talk about shadow, things that are blacker than the night, maybe that represents something even more evil. I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna go with that. I just pulled that out from my behind.
Yeah, that's
Joe,
why
I
I'm
think
smiling.
it's
I'm looking
yeah.
at you. Just
It's a
yelling that out.
D&D color code lah.
Yeah, I
Green
just
dragon,
pulled
blue
it out.
dragon, black dragon is the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Is it like
why
that?
is it that this is the first time I'm hearing of this color coding? I've never heard of
Yeah.
of it prior. So we have Kim to thank, do we?
Yeah. But Kim, because we got this talk about Toyo in this segment, Kim very nicely did something else for his Know Your Hantu, also a classic Hantu, this one.
Our
I think
fan
let's
favorite.
fan favorite.
Ooh.
I know Esther Tan loves this Hantu. And as many of the SC members, they like this one. They a lot of sightings with this one. Okay, Alvin, today's Know Your Hantu, Kim has nicely brought to our featured Hantu this week, the Pochong. Take it away.
Chang.
Ooh.
Know Your Hunter for this week, it's a name that many of us from Singapore, Malaysia, Brunei and Indonesia are familiar with. Pochong. It is mentioned that Pochong is the soul of a dead person trapped in their kain kafan or shroud. A shroud is the prescribed length of cloth used in Muslim burials to wrap the body of the deceased. The body is covered with white fabric, tied over the head and under the feet and also on the neck. Traditional beliefs mention the soul of a person after their passing will stay on earth for 40 days. If 40 days have passed and the soul remains in the shroud, it will then appear as Pochong, return from its grave restless. There are many forms of the creature being seen, depending on the dead person's physical and also their state of decomposition. The most common sightings is mentioned seeing it with a pale face and wide open eyes. Some of the famous story related to Pochong is Plastic Pochong, that said to haunt the area of Shah Alam, Malaysia. It was a pregnant woman who was murdered in cold blood by her boyfriend. After autopsy was performed, blood kept flowing endlessly from her body even after open parts were sewn shut. The whole situation was so bizarre that the hospital decided to wrap the corpse with plastic instead of a traditional shroud before burying her remains that was unclaimed by relatives in an undisclosed location. Ever since that, people in that area reported seeing Pochong, but wrapped in plastic. Another story related to it would be Andong Pochong. Its sightings were reported in Perak, also Malaysia. Instead of hopping or floating around in dirty white shroud, Andong Pochong would appear in a cart pulled by a ghostly horse. It would then visit people's houses to knock on their doors. Whoever answered would suffer a mysterious illness before dying just a couple days later. Andong Pochong is said to be originated from a story of a newly wed bride who was killed in a freak accident involving a horse cart.
Wow.
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 Pochong leaving it large, huh? Right horse.
I'm getting an
Right.
education tonight. I am getting an
Yes.
education tonight.
You guys thought you know your pochongs, is it? Do you know the
Yeah.
pochong,
And
like
my
king
toyos.
level pochong?
Plastic pochong. Wow.
Ah.
You thought you could
So
outrun a
now-
Pochong unless he has a horse.
Yeah, Pochong on a horse.
You're not going to outrun him.
So now if I'm at a forest, I don't just have to listen out for that hopping sound. If there's rustling plastic, it's gonna freak me out now.
And a
Plastic
horse, and a
pochong.
horse neighing.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I think this has got to be the best compliment for Kim. Achilles Aries says Kim is the David Attenborough of
Attenborough.
Hantu.
Attenborough.
I love it. I love it.
Sir Kim then. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. Tonight, really is cool on Pochong. But then again, now I'm bringing the question.
And
Like,
toyos.
who came
Yeah.
up with all this? Like, where did this come from? Like, was it like just made up somewhere along the way and then it became canon? Or is this the offshoot of Toyol and offshoot of Pochong law that just made it into the research?
Is there like a governing body that decides what the level are? So today, yeah, you've reached level red for Toyol level. Tomorrow, we are going to inaugurate our horse Pochong. Like,
Yeah, lah, got promotion lah.
just-
Then get one
So
horse.
yeah.
Really was asking, do you get to change your color? And how do you change color?
That's why. How do
Well,
you upgrade? How do you level up?
You got to scare more people lah. Like Monsters
That's
Inc.
racist, bro.
Yeah.
That's
Depends on
racist.
how many people you scare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monsters
So if
Inc.
you
lah.
hit
Scare
100, you get to level up. Next level, you know?
Got quota, like.
So racist. Just be happy with the color you're born with, guys.
United Colors of Pochong Benetton.
Yeah.
All colorist lah, this Pochong.
Yeah.
I look out of all the hantus, for me, Pochong is the most my least favorite of them all.
Oh, why?
Why? Least favorite as in what?
Why? I don't know. Like, for me, the Pochong seems to be the most comical and the most unbelievable for me.
Mm.
Like you know, I think that Miss Czech Pona is up there, right? And then
Apex Predator.
Apex Predator, then followed by Hantu Tete, and then Hantu Gut and Toy. That's but Pochong's at the bottom, bro. Like,
But you did have an personal experience before, right? With Pochong.
Yes.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like,
Tell it again.
Yeah, tell it again. I think some
Okay.
people
Yeah.
know, right?
Sure. Okay, so just a quick one. For those of you who have heard it, I'm sorry, just I'm going to repeat myself. For those of you who have not heard this one, personal Pochong story. I was in army, serving my guard duty, and this was in Camp 2, CISPAC, back then in Tekong. And we saw on the CCTV, there was something white wiggling around. It does not look like the Pochong that you see clearly with a defined face and everything, but it's something whitish that is hopping and moving about. You can see it's a humanoid kind of shape. Called Sergeant, see there's something there. Sergeant said, hey, go take your rifle, go and check. So with my buddy and I, we took our rifle, we walked down about 100 meters from the guard post to the main gate of the ammo dump, walk all the way in front, walkie-talkie, radio bag, couldn't see anything with my naked eye, right? They said, walk, keep walking, all the way to the gate. And I couldn't see anything, and the sergeant was laughing his head off. He said, hey, okay, come back. Then later on, we had to report in because there was an intruder on CCTV. We cannot see anything. When this X-File agency came down to replay the CCTV footage in front of us, we saw that there is a white thing that was just in front of me on CCTV. We could see just right in front of me, something's moving. I couldn't see with my naked eye. So that's my personal Pochong story, which is not as fascinating as the Pochong Know Your Hantu episode today.
No horse cart
So
riding
it
around.
no
was only
has here,
seen-
Pochong.
Yeah, I
It was
didn't see
only
your.
seen on the CCTV footage. It
Yeah.
wasn't in front of you.
No.
It couldn't have been a wriggly maggot on the camera.
No, because it was moving at different places.
So could you feel
Yeah.
anything? Any
Yeah.
presence?
You know,
Smell anything? Feel anything?
yeah, this happened when I was 18, which is about 3 years ago, right? So I really cannot remember. I forgot about the. No, but I don't. I remember being fearful
Mm.
in a way that you would be fearful in a dark place, and the fact that you're going to investigate something. Yeah, but not any more than that.
One thing you left out, Eugene,
Hmm.
that's very important in all of this. The Singapore X-Files from the military
Ah,
came and got the freaking footage,
yes, yes.
right? Oh
Yeah.
my
You
god.
need to expand on this X-Files agency.
Mm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. MINDEF, I was told, okay, I can neither confirm nor deny, because I don't want
Oh.
people coming through my door and then bringing me for some tea session, and I never get a light of day.
Or Putin comes
So I
in.
cannot neither confirm nor deny that I was told there is a division in MINDEF that handles all this paranormal or unexplained encounters by people. They investigate, they document, but then it just disappears into the annals of records.
I've heard the same from someone on the inside. Like that kind of footage is removed, taken away, stored away.
But is
Heard
there
the
like a
same
reason
thing.
behind it? No? Any?
I mean, if you perpetuate it, I think it frightens your recruits and all of that, and you don't want that, right?
Hmm.
Or is it part of like psychological warfare? Like it's very similar to what the Special Air Service, British Special Air Service did to the Viet Cong when they were fighting them in Vietnam. They actually set up active superstition that there were ghosts in the jungle. It was really them, and they managed to actually like sabotage a couple of like Viet Cong patrols. So,
I mean, even you do that to Singaporean soldiers, like you just tell them there's a hantu in the forest, the best place to deter any.
They won't go anywhere near it. They won't go anywhere.
Yeah.
No, do you remember? Was it just last year we did the Ujinali, and it
Yeah.
was Chi-Chi's challenge to do the Pochong one,
yeah.
right?
And
And
he heard.
he heard the jumping that
did he
Yes.
record it though?
there was
Was there some?
There were
in-
cameras
infrared-
around us,
Yes, we had infrared cameras around.
but they couldn't catch. I mean, the mics were pointing in a different direction. You cannot hear, but you can hear with your ears. Something hopping. Maybe it might be a bunny at night at
A
3
rabbit
a.m.
lah.
Hmm.
2 a.m.
Eh?
rabbit.
Suddenly,
Yeah.
you guys are the
Oh,
super
kangaroo.
rational
Kangaroo
ones.
from Perth is there.
Yeah. Next time I'm down in Singapore, I'll come and man the technology. You guys will do Ujinali again. I'll record everything for you guys. Don't worry.
You're gonna be there
You
too.
sit in
all-
the you sit
No,
where
how-
it's nice and
I'll
safe.
be in a van lah. You guys handle
Tech
everything.
support.
lah.
Hey,
two Gragoks in a van, tech support. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
you guys got it. You guys got it.
Yeah.
I trust you,
we
Sonia
got it
and Power
covered.
Woman.
Is it? Yeah.
Okay, let us go to the third and final confession for today.
It's Steve.
This one is The Rabbit Teeth Woman by Ding narrated by Lijia.
Whoa.
Wow, the
Rabbit Teeth Woman by Ding Fuer. I was among the first batch of residents to move into Block 800 plus HDB in Tampines in the mid 1980s. When I was in lower primary, I had insomnia almost every night, especially because I needed to wake up early for morning session in school. It just made me more stressed out and unable to sleep. My dad worked the night shift, so only my mother, brother, and I were at home in the mornings. How the story starts is normally we would all sleep in the living room on our mattresses instead of in our bedrooms. We had seen strange men sniffing glue or taking drugs at the staircase in the corridor outside our house. We lived in the corner unit at that time. My mom, who was a young woman with 2 kids, felt worried about those strangers loitering outside our house, so she wanted us to sleep near her in case anything happened. Into midnight, I would always hear dogs or cats howling and people shouting. No matter how much I tossed and turned, I was unable to sleep. One night, I opened my eyes and looked behind me. I saw an old lady with protruding rabbit's teeth and a high forehead. She looked like those typical fierce mothers-in-law in old Chinese movies. She was standing in between the kitchen and bedroom, staring very fiercely at me. Besides looking at her, I didn't know what to do. Finally, she disappeared by 5 a.m. The nightly sightings of this old lady kept happening until we moved out of the house in 1994. I was a quiet and shy boy, so I didn't tell anyone what I saw. Fast forward to 2009, my dad decided to bring a Buddha statue into our new house for blessing with the help of a Thai master. Upon entering the living room, this Thai master said our storeroom has a guest inside. He told us to go through everything in it and see if there was anything unfamiliar. Suddenly, we found an old yellow paper box with tape on it, labeled Grandpa's items, do not open. Of course, we immediately opened it and saw a super old yellow photo of an old lady. It looked like it was taken decades ago, like those photos displayed during someone's funeral. We were all stunned like vegetables, especially me, because the old lady in the photo was none other than that rabbit-teeth woman I saw when I was younger. The Thai master said this old lady is related to my grandpa but refused to disclose any more information to us. Although my grandma and aunt were with us, they also didn't recognize the old lady in the photo. My grandpa had already passed away in Pahang, Malaysia during a car accident in September 1980, so the identity of this old lady remained a mystery until now. After the Thai master communicated and negotiated with the old lady, he told us to buy some offerings and burn them under our block, together with the photo of the old lady. We also did some rituals and chanting. Since then, everything has been back to normal in our house. I learned a lesson to always keep your house tidy. Don't keep too many unwanted objects. Sometimes you never know what's hidden among them.
Oh,
Ooh.
grandfather.
Attachment.
So, who was that
Uh-huh.
old lady?
That's not
So he
grandma.
he
Bro,
he
when I
died.
was listening to this, I cannot stun like vegetable.
I'm sorry, Sonia. You're trying to say something.
I was gonna say Grandpa died tragically, so you cannot find out who's this woman.
Ah,
Lost love,
Oh.
the one
our
that got
So
away.
grandma.
obviously she's not moved on because something's not resolved, and then attachment to the photograph.
Hmm.
Okay, they said the photograph is like a funeral photograph or a photograph.
No, I think
No,
it's a photograph.
I think
yeah,
just a
a
normal
regular photo
photograph,
that she
regular
found
photo.
among things. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a old picture, very yellowed old
But
picture.
why would she appear to the granddaughter?
Because children are more susceptible to.
Maybe the granddaughter is the
Oh,
ting, ting, ting.
Somehow related.
that's their child. They're their love child.
Somehow-
Alvin!
Oh, Alvin, you're mine, huh?
Holy moly!
Suddenly, this became Dynasty and Days of Our Life.
I
Okay.
can't take much more of this. I just can't. Between the Pochong, the Toyol, and this, too much.
Too much drama for you for one night.
Last week was classic horror, right?
Yeah.
Now it's
This
classic
This time
drama.
it's all. That's right.
Yeah.
This one is
Sandiwaras
all the
all over the
alternative.
place.
Yeah.
A bit Surya, everything all into one.
Colored toyos, Pochong on horsebacks.
And wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, kena stun like
See,
vegetable.
This is too much for me, guys. Too much.
Grandfather's
Yeah.
secret child.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. But let's get back to the supernatural side of this,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So this lady saw a buck-tooth
Yep.
woman. Was it scary?
Mhm.
Did she say it was scary, or was it trying to communicate, or she just saw it?
I think she just saw it.
saw
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right. So this rules out one thing. If we were to say that, oh, she has seen the photo before and therefore she saw something, then yeah, her mind created that, right? Because I know that's where you guys are going to go with it. But now that she saw this apparition first, and only later did she realize who that woman is because it's in the photo. How do you explain that one? I would think that it's a real hantu then. It's a real manifestation.
So she didn't. She didn't say she was surprised or shocked or scared. Is that? Because if there's an old lady appearing behind me right now, I think I'll run over to Eugene's house.
Alvin, turn around.
Ask for a phone number, bro.
Hey, Sonia, is that you?
Hey, I'm owning it, okay?
Dark.
Where? You're not wearing your costume, Joe.
Hey, Sonia, it's been a
Oh
while.
no! I see what you did there.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm actually agreeing with you, Eugene. Like I
Mm.
think this is heading closer towards the paranormal, because there's some evidence, and I love stories where people go, "Oh, I just saw this lady, and she was wearing like a red dress with a a birthday hat." And then they go and see a photo, and suddenly there's this exact same lady with the birthday hat.
Yeah.
And you're correct. Like you could say, "Oh, this person, saw a photograph, and that's why." That may be an explanation, but I'm heading more towards this being something a little bit more
Not me.
otherworldly.
Not me at all, because that child could have been shown that picture
Sure.
by let's say grandpa has another wife. Now you have to remember, in those times it was very common for a man to have more than one wife. In Peranakan families it was very common. In Muslim communities here in Singapore, even that's still prevalent. Okay, let's not say prevalent, it still exists, it's still practiced.
Still being practiced, yeah.
It's still being practiced. Now, having said that, if he had more than one wife, but it was a little bit more of a hush hush thing, and from that line, you have a grandchild. Could someone have shown her the picture when she was much younger?
Of course.
Not remember it, but when she sees that picture, she kind of remembers it as I know this person, and of course that very the feature of the buck tooth having stuck in her head. You're a kid.
Possible.
That's something that children laugh about. So it's going to stick. That memory is going to stick. So
Mm.
it could have been a past memory resurfacing. She recognizes it, but she can't quite pin it down.
And also, she hasn't been sleeping well. She's been having insomnia and all that. So I think that adds on to the things that she might experience or see.
And also, if you're going to tell an adult, I can't sleep, and then I see this apparition, you're going to join the two incidences together. It may not even be related in any way,
Very good question from Oculus Series. Then okay, so let's take it as she saw that because she saw the photo before, and then
Mm,
you make that up in her head. Then
Mm.
how then do you explain the Thai master saying in the storeroom there is a guest?
based on the
Thai master, the Thai master that came to the
Yes.
house, he
Yes.
said the storeroom there is a guest in the same place that the lady saw this apparition, the same place that they found the photo. Coincidence? Too coincidental, right?
But
Well,
okay. So I've had things told to me by Thai masters, Chinese masters, and stuff like that. But if you're going to tell someone a story, or I saw an apparition,
No, but she didn't tell the Thai master the apparition. The Thai master visited the house and
for
stayed
a
there.
specific
right?
reason, he was invited to come to the house, right? He didn't
Uh,
just show up. You have to be invited.
was it to
Correct?
cleanse or something? What's the story?
a
I didn't.
vampire.
Huh? He's not a vampire. Vampire law
So-
have to be invited.
So the Thai master was invited to the house, and he wouldn't have been invited unless it was to do something, to perform perhaps a cleansing. So would the Thai master then not say something to justify his presence?
Okay, so the character is a boy, the narrator is a girl. That's
Yeah.
why I got a bit mixed up. Okay,
So
so
it's
it's
a
a
he,
guy.
not a she. Yeah.
Tinga is a guy.
Yeah.
I someone
But
says
I
Actually,
just
in a
admit
way,
defeat, Sonia.
yeah, in a way, I support Sonia in the sense that okay, let's say a Thai master, right? If I go to any house, wherever side there's a special guest in a house, most of the time the guy will be right.
Oh, sorry, come
No,
again?
let's say, anyone could come to your house and he will just say,
there's nobody to disprove him.
yeah,
All he
I
has
could
to
just
do
go
is
to
say
Lijia, I could
it.
go to your house and I could say there's someone
Yes.
inside your house. You can't really disprove it, right?
Mm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people attribute, like people will take a bit of information and create links, right?
Mm.
So the person, imagine if they say it's in the kitchen rather than in the storeroom. They'll go, oh, you know what? The last time I was there, I smelled something. So there's a relationship. So no matter what happens, it always will be a connection to the story. But the reason why I'm wanting, there were a couple of reasons why I'm wanting to head towards the paranormal more. Firstly, I think it's really boring for me to keep going. This is nothing, imagination, hallucination. So I'm taking a little bit of an alternative view. And that is on the back of a lot of stories that have come down the line that is so similar to this experience, where people, even young kids, as you said, you know what, I've seen this figure since I was a little girl, and since I was, being kept by my mom, and then suddenly they go to somewhere else and they see that same picture there. So there's a lot of literature that records these things. Having said that, if I were to play the devil's advocate on my own thing that it's ghosts, right? Memory is a very malleable thing, and false
Yes.
memories can be created very easily. And memory is such that memory is not a linear thing, and memory is not like a cupboard where you can open a drawer, take the exact thing out, and go, I've got a memory of this.
It
Memory,
changes with time, doesn't it?
it does,
And it's tempered with your emotions, and there's so many moving parts to a memory.
Yeah. So again, but I'm channeling Kim today. So I'm going the Hantu route.
There's actually research on that. Like, there are people who are able to just plant false memories into people and make them think or remember things that weren't actually true in the first place. I think there's a
It was
YouTube-
it was
YouTube
the
video on that.
first subject
Mm.
and the first assignment I ever did when I studied my undergraduate degree in psychology. It was the first thing. False memory was a very big thing. A lot of research done into it.
Yeah, there's also
But still,
YouTube I
it's a
saw on that.
Yeah.
great,
You think about the
great story
satanic
to
panic.
debate.
Think about the satanic panic that happened in the was it the 70s and the
So is it-
80s? Was it when everyone was claiming that they were kind of abused by satanic cults at a certain point in time in the United States, right? A lot of that actually was found to be false memories.
All right.
Like being implanted, not implanted like deliberately, but implanted through the process of interviews and stories and all that. So it's a real phenomenon.
Isn't it a government cover up?
For what?
Yes, you are correct, Eugene.
The act did happen, but the government covers up and says,
Yeah,
no, it's
man.
just false.
There was a man on the
memories.
grassy
Hot air
knoll.
balloon. Yeah, man on grassy knoll.
Yeah, they filmed the moon landing. That's right.
Yeah. Stanley Kubrick, right? Moon landing.
That's right. That's right.
Earth is flat, bro.
No lah, that one. Earth is hollow. I'm going with that one.
Earth is
Hollow
hollow.
Earth.
Nazis
Yeah.
on Antarctica.
So from flat earthers to hollow earth, what?
Yeah, flat earthers don't know what they're talking about. Clearly,
And
the Earth is
shark-
hollow.
And Sharknado is real.
To be
I
fair,
like-
I
I
think
like
that has
to-
happened before.
Yeah, but speaking of this particular story, I do like
Yeah.
the idea. Again, I think this story has a lot of avenues for us to dissect, poke holes till kingdom come, right? But I would like the idea that this lady, the bucktooth lady, is the lover of the grandpa. Because back in those times, they maybe matchmake the way, then they have found the love of their life, but they cannot marry the love of their life, and they have a love child that they have to hide and keep. And over time, this lady appears to this child, trying to communicate it to her, to tell her something, or to see the descendants.
That's quite romantic, actually. It's
Yeah.
a romantic notion.
Why else would the grandpa still keep that photo? You know what I mean? Like, that's the, like the song where I rather know your grandpa rode back in 1923. Yeah.
Well, I
so-
didn't even think about that. I think you're on the money there, Alvin. There might have been a little bit of hanky-panky going on.
Grandpa was a player back then.
Yeah. With all due respect.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, stop it.
What's this, Hanji?
He said he looked
Eugene,
like
you look like
Dikosh,
you look a little like the notorious lad from NFC. Well, I look like Dikosh, is it?
Oh,
Just
man.
because I got double chin. Ah, the hell. And a man bun. I trust you, me. Children ain't my thing. Okay, moving on.
Hey,
Mandal.
so where's the joke? Nobody has told the joke. I'm waiting for the
Alvin.
joke today.
Alvin.
Okay. Since now it's quite late at night, right?
I don't know. That sounds
Right.
funny.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
Hey,
Okay.
joke lah, not horror story.
What do you call a bull who is sleeping?
You call a bull
That is sleeping.
a bulldozer?
Oh, you got it.
Yes.
Oh,
She is quick on the mark tonight.
Wow. Sonia,
Yeah, because it's not a dirty joke. That's why I can get it.
Sonia, I give you 5 stars.
Nice.
I got one joke to share also.
Okay.
Okay,
good.
okay.
Yeah, just last night, a man fell off the roof of a club, and police was trying to investigate the identity of the man. They determined that he wasn't the bouncer.
Again.
Wait, can you say it? Sorry.
Yeah.
Bad jokes cannot tell twice, lah. A man fell off the roof of a club
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah.
Police were
Okay.
trying to investigate the identity of the man. They
Uh-huh.
discovered he wasn't the bouncer.
Oof.
Okay, so he didn't boing off the ground. Okay.
Yeah, when you explain the joke, that's not funny anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you see, it wasn't funny in the first place.
Yeah, that's why
Hey, people say.
I shouldn't be the one telling
Hey,
jokes.
people say they want another joke. Joe, your turn.
I literally have no jokes
Just say any joke.
because my life is an entire joke. So that I really don't have a joke. I can search one on the internet and tell you guys, but I have no jokes.
Then Sonia, you got a
Absolutely.
joke.
Hey.
You have a joke.
No, I'm not one of those. I just don't know how.
You see, people on YouTube, they got my joke.
Oh well, the clerk says tonight joke's not funny one lah.
No, Kim. Kim is the man. We like pale comparison only.
Yeah lah.
That's
I
why
wanna
today
be-
you get budget jokes.
Budget jokes.
Yeah, budget Kim and
Found in the discount section of
Yeah.
the
so
joke
I'm a
store.
pious
Yeah,
Catholic, so I cannot take a
bargain
dirty
bin.
joke.
Exactly. That's just like you and me,
Yeah,
bro.
I
We can't do it. No.
Jesus watching behind me. Yeah.
Hey,
First got old lady, now Jesus. Which one, bro?
The whole gang of Mother Mary, Jesus, Joseph here also.
Yeah.
and a couple of other saints in for good measure.
Anyway, it's one more minute to our featured YouTube part 2 of Andy's father. This is the concluding episode where he's older. He confronted his father, and we
I
talked
can't
about
wait.
yeah.
to-
So let
yeah.
us say goodbye because it's 11:30 already.
Mm.
As always, let's go with you first.
Thanks, guys, for spending date night with us on a Friday night. My name is Joe, and even though today I lean towards the paranormal, I'm still going with that. There's a lot more questions than there are answers. Thanks, everyone.
Nice. Yes, thanks for spending Friday Fright Night with us. I'm Sonia, and I usually have a super rational explanation for most things, not everything.
Got the
I got all these disclaimers now. Okay, I must. The amount of flack I can get sometimes.
Alvin.
Alvin,
And thanks, guys, for having me, the budget Kim from Shopee. Have a great weekend.
No tagline, I think, huh?
No tagline.
Okay lah.
Not yet.
Yeah. Anyway, my name is Eugene Tay, founder of Supernatural Confessions. Remember, look us up on supernaturalconfessions.com. My number is there. Tell us your confessions. We can only grow and can continue this show only if you have confessions for us. So
yes.
supernaturalconfessions.com. Check it out. We're on Spotify, podcast every Monday, Wednesday, live show every Friday. And just keep in touch and tell all your friends about us. Remember, if you have an experience, an encounter, and no one believes you, come to Supernatural Confessions because you are not alone. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I'll see you guys on
Good night.
tonight's feature. Go, 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 go.
Oh.
What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.